Hi guys, I'm Shmi. Hello to you. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to MTC, the McLaren Technology Centre, where I'm currently in the room where customers come to spec their McLaren Sennas. We've got the beautiful MSO example behind me, but this can only mean one thing. Today, it is time to tell you guys the spec of my McLaren Senna. In a minute, I'm going to show you some renders of the exact specification that I have gone for to make my perfect Senna. Then later on, we'll go over all of the options, including, believe me, a few more boxes ticked from MSO than I originally intended. And I'll also tell you when the car is due and what I'm going to be doing with it after I take delivery. But the first thing to talk about is the color. Now, I think some of you can possibly take an educated guess as to what I'm going to have chosen, but there is quite a story about this. So if we go back to early 2016, when I placed a letter of intent with McLaren Manchester, my dealer, for what was then known by its code name, the P15, the car that's now become this beast behind me, the McLaren Senna, I actually wrote at that time what color I'd like it to be. And at the very same time, I was configuring the final spec for my 675 LT Spider, the car that's still in my garage and is going to remain so after delivery of the Senna. I'll have the two cars together. Now, I've got a model just here that I can show you of the spec of my LT Spider. We work with mini shops to create these in its MSO Orion Purple. So the metallic purple paintwork with blue metallic flake. The blue at the time was to match that of my 675 LT Coupe, the cerulean blue, and it worked incredibly well. Now, I had this color in mind, thinking about what color was going to go on the Senna, which is inside here, and also many more options to show you in here. So the room that I'm in now was originally used as the demonstration room for the McLaren P1 and then the handovers of the car. But this is where every single Senna customer has been able to come to take a look at this car, highly equipped with MSO options, to try out the seats, to see the different wheels, and to go over the various different paint options and basically create their ideal specs. So to be honest, I think I should probably stop keeping you waiting. Let's take a look first at the color that I have chosen. Potentially, fairly predictably, my car is going to be MSO Cerulean Blue. It returns. 87TB will be the number plate. We will have the rebirth of this color. This is the paint frog, actually, from when I had my 675 LT. It's a very, very metallic, light blue color. It is by far my favorite color. I like it an awful lot. And to be honest, my 675 LT in this color looks so good. So MSO Cerulean Blue is back. It's been gone, I guess, for about 2.5 years now. But I'm looking forward to the return, and a lot of my car actually is going to pay tribute to that original LT, and due to the way we created the Orion Purple paintwork, it should in theory look pretty nice together. So that's the main choice I have gone for. But for now, there's a little bit more to this. It's not just about the paint color. Let me show you the first render of my car. So there we go then, your first look at what's going to be the future Shmee-mobile. And I'm sure you can immediately see there are more details to this than just the cerulean blue paintwork. So I'm going to walk you through it, but we've got a few different renders to take a look at. It's a big thanks to MF Car Design. His Instagram link is down below, who helped me put these together to visualize how this car is going to look. So as well as the cerulean blue, you will notice that I have tinted all of the exposed visual carbon fiber in a navy blue. So it's a dual tone blue car. Of course, a lot of people have been doing racing liveries with their Senna, and I wanted to bring a second color into it as opposed to just the normal carbon fiber. But I didn't want to go crazy because at the end of the day, it's a bit of a tribute back to my 675 LT Coupe, but it's also a road car. It's going to be wearing number plates. Now, as we take a look around the car, you can see that I've gone for the dark stealth wheels, again like my LT, and we've also got the cerulean blue center locks. Those come from MSO, as do the silver calipers. There's a big story behind the silver calipers. They had to do a lot of work to complete those, and it was not a cheap option, I'm not going to lie, but I wanted to pay tribute to the old car, and I think as a total look, it worked incredibly well. Now, on the exterior, I also did the carbon fiber aero vanes at the front, the aero blades that you see inside the front bumper, the roof scoop in visual carbon fiber, all tinted of course, and the entirety of the rear wing in the blue carbon fiber too, including the end plates, which would normally be the body color. I'll walk us around this car that's behind me to talk about why I've made some of these decisions as well. And then on the interior, it's all black Alcantara with cerulean blue stitching. Of course, the door struts had to be in cerulean blue as well, the main body color brought to the interior. But the interior of the Senna is completely stripped out. There's not an awful lot going on in there. Now, there are a couple of options for the Senna. In terms of paid normal options that aren't from MSO, you're basically talking the Gorilla Glass for the doors, the Gorilla Glass for the roof panel, the glass for the rear window, and the track telemetry cameras and the Bowers & Wilkins hi-fi system. That's pretty much it. In fact, the rear window, the bulkhead window, is actually a standard no-cost option, as is air conditioning and a few other things. So it's fully loaded in terms of what you can have, in terms of the option boxes that you can actually tick from McLaren themselves, and then you get to MSO, where it all starts to get very personal. So let me walk you around this car and talk about some of these options in more detail. Saying that, just before we go around this car, two other things I'd like to show you very quickly, and the first of those is this little box from MSO. So every customer comes and takes a look at the samples that you have in here. Now, I've cheated slightly and forward prepared this. We've got the MSO cerulean blue sample. Here we have the satin blue tinted carbon fiber, which I just think is a stunning option, especially when you put those two side by side. That color combo is stunning. Then we've also got a few other different carbons, by the way. You can have green, you can have red, you can have purple. I thought about doing purple, lots of you suggested that, but I thought blue and purple was just a bit overkill for one car. There are the silver calipers we've got here that you can see. I'll pop that in as well. The interior is going to be black Alcantara, but here we've got a leather sample with the cerulean blue stitch. So let's just use that for a second so that you can see how that's going to look. And I've also gone for the MSO 6-point harnesses, but I've done those in black. So there you have a pretty good look at the colors that are going to make up my actual car. I love how you can do this, and you've also got a configurator there, where as you can see, we have loaded the spec. I'm not sure if you caught a glimpse of this earlier, but that is the spec loaded up on the screen. So let me leave this for a second and come over to the car itself. Now, this particular example, you've possibly seen it before. In fact, I filmed a video with it because it was shown at the Geneva Motor Show earlier in the year. So this is very, very MSO'd with the full visual carbon fiber body, something I considered, but I really, really wanted it to be bright blue. And often if you try and tint a carbon fiber body, you get a dark color. And to be honest, I wanted to embrace the radical design. This thing is crazy. Just look at the extended front, the aero work, the ginormous rear wing. I wanted it in a bright color. I wanted it to be cerulean blue. So the carbon fiber didn't quite tick the right boxes for me. Of course, it's also a very expensive option. And even by standard, you have a lot of exposed carbon. So the splitter, that whole area is carbon. The nose bridge in this whole area is carbon fiber, door mirrors, the side skirts, the whole of the wing is carbon, the arms, the swan style arms, the double layer wing, and all of these louvres in this area is carbon. All the gurney flaps are carbon. So it had a lot of carbon to begin with. So I didn't feel it needed the full exposed carbon body, hence the cerulean blue. So all of those parts I've just mentioned are going to be tinted navy blue. In fact, everything on the outside that is carbon fiber will be navy as opposed to black. So if we come down towards the front, a lot of customers have gone for contrasting aero blades and fender inners that you have here, but I chose to do them in the same carbon fiber. So when you're standing here, for example, and look at my car, you will see that these are blue carbon fiber just as per the splitter inside the cerulean blue of the external panel that you have here. So I'm really looking forward to how that turns out. As we come up the car, a specific option I added was the MSO carbon fiber roof scoop. Normally this would be black, I believe, so it's optional to have it in carbon fiber, and again tinted blue. So in my cabin, the canopy over the top is all going to be black. Because I'll have a glass panel here, the glass of the engine bay, the glass of the doors, the window. I didn't think that it worked to have satin blue carbon over the top, so I've kept this all gloss black to match with the look of the windows. So the top section of the car is black, as is the interior, which should tie in quite nicely. This car has the carbon panels here and the carbon door panels, whereas I think those really need to be glass because it's such a signature thing about the Senna to have them so exposed. So the whole top section is glossy black, with the exception of the roof scoop. So it might stand out quite a lot, but it's just cool, right? It's a roof scoop. So that's going to be glossy black on the top. And then coming towards the rear, like I said, traditionally, this end plate would also be finished in the body color, and I've gone to have it in carbon fiber. So it'll be the same satin blue carbon as the entirety of the rear wing. Just while I'm here, by the way, how good does that look? The 4-litre twin turbo V8, 800 horsepower, 800 Newton meters, and the car puts down 800 kilos of downforce. Of course, with that, your contact to the ground, the wheels and tyres. So this car is wearing the very nice but excruciatingly expensive carbon fibre optional wheel, which I'm afraid to say I have not gone for. I've chosen the regular wheel, but it will have these tyres. The Trofeo R tyres that are more track focused, still road legal, but very much like slick tyres, which means you kind of want to drive the car more in the dry days, but when you do and you get them to temperature, they are epic. So let me just show you now the example of the wheel that I've chosen, the ultra lightweight wheel. It still has a centre lock, although this example is clearly painted in silver, whereas mine will be dark stealth, a very dark satin grey. And these, by the way, are the normal P0 tyres, which are kind of more suited to everyday driving all around the year. But at the end of the day, this is a special car for special occasions. But let's talk about the calipers. So there were 8 standard colour choices for the brake calipers, and what you have to think about is how much braking power this car has, especially with the CCMR brakes from Motorsport, and basically as a result, quite how much temperature they're going to be carrying. And therefore, when you're talking about paint colours, silver with metallic flake would have a tendency to get very hot. So they had to do a lot of development work, testing work, and it was actually one of the last things I was able to add to have silver painted calipers against the blue tone body. But fortunately, they were able to make that work, and it should really pop against the wheels too. But let's come through now and check out the interior in more detail. So to open up the door, it pops. It's very light. In fact, it's basically just a carbon fibre card. Everything about this is carbon fibre. The tub, the body panels, the seats, you name it. Just a little bit of Alcantara on the inside to give you that feel and comfort and control. And it really, well, I think it works magnificently. You saw the folding screen open up too. So on the inside, there isn't that much you can change. Highlights that I have gone for, the door struts on this car, which are green. On mine will be body colour, cerulean blue. The seats will have the Alcantara pads, which are basically Velcroed in, but with a cerulean blue, light blue stitch all around each one. We'll have the carbon fibre exposed everywhere that you can see in here, and I'll also have this trim finish, which is called Galvanic Grey. I'll have that darker grey also around the central screen rather than Zircon, which this has. You'll also spot in the central console a custom MSO key. I have gone for one of those in blue tinted carbon fibre with a logo on it. And one other thing I've done, which is a bit of a potentially unnecessary option, is at the top of the steering wheel, because you have Alcantara on most of it and the carbon fibre around the bottom, I've also selected to have carbon fibre around the top with a 12 o'clock stripe painted right in the middle in body colour cerulean blue too. So we'll have that right up top. These small MSO details that should in theory really add up to just make the car into a whole package. Now, one other thing I've done, if you think about having the door panel in glass and also the roof panel, because you're so exposed inside here, you'd be able to see in straight from the outside. I've gone for a limo tint on the roof and also on the door, not on the side windows, of course, because you can't have those, or on the rear, because, hey, we want to have a good view of that engine bay. Just check that out. So we'll have the MSO tint on those parts of the Gorilla Glass, the strengthened glass that you have around the doors and the various windows. And with only a few more options to show you, one of them is exactly as you have here, the extended carbon fibre sill finisher. So the standard car would have that Alcantara. You have an option to have, well, just part of it carbon fibre, just this kind of top section, or you can have the full MSO, but I felt like it looked really good like this, especially when you consider that you have the carbon fibre tub that you can see exposed around the outside of that. And I've also gone for a small McLaren logo on the side of this, painted in cerulean blue too. So when the doors are open and you stand back from the car, you'll get a nice flash of blue here, as well as the flash of blue from the gas struts carrying through the exterior onto the inside of the car as well. So you can tell I've thought about all of this, well, quite a fair amount. We've got soft close, so the doors pull in nicely. One other technology option, I suppose, that I went for that I mentioned is the track telemetry cameras. So I'll have a camera mounted at the front, also at the rear, and one inside, which will save with the data of the car recorded onto a box, so you can take that away and check it out on a computer later on. I mentioned earlier too, I've gone for the cerulean blue center locks. Originally I thought about doing blue and red on one side and different on the other, like in Motorsport, but at the end of the day, it will just look cooler in cerulean blue to match the body of the car, so those are going to be in blue all around. And then a few other things that are basically standard no-cost options, having a trickle charger, having the rear view camera, having the parking sensors, the things you might expect, having the air conditioning, and all of that ties together. Interestingly, if you don't spec the Bowers and Wilkins system that kind of floats over the window, so actually if you have the glass window specced, if you can see here, the speaker almost hovers over part of that, but basically without that, you have no sound system at all. So your navigation system can't tell you anything, can't read anything out to you because there are literally no speakers. Even this system is developed to only be, I think it's about 7 kilos or so it's not a huge weight penalty when obviously the name of the game is being literally as light as possible with the car, just under 1,200 kilos. I'm actually quite terrified about 800 horsepower and 1,200 kilos. Seats, you have 2 options for the width of the seat. I went for the standard seat. I have the standard seat in my LT and it's about the right size for me. There's a touring seat which is a touch wider, but the problem with the wider seat is that you then can feel like you're being thrown around a bit if you're a bit smaller, especially when you're driving on the limit that this can do. So I've got the normal black 3-point seat belts. I'll also have the 6-point harnesses which will come out mounted to the bulkhead and through the floor. So I'll have those for the track days, because at the end of the day, this thing is a hardcore car. It should be set up like that. So I've not gone quite as crazy as this, but I did have in total, I think, 15 different options from MSO when you add it all up, which is clearly, well, it does come at a price, let's just say, but it's important with a car like this to make it perfect. As you saw in the renders, of course, those are based on a studio shoot of one of the factory's cars, but hopefully mine is going to look absolutely spot on to how that turned out. So the thing that is a little bit of a surprise is that originally I expected my car, which is chassis number 281 out of 500, to be built early in the new year, ready for delivery maybe in February, and probably registered on the roads for the 1st of March, because in the UK the number plate system restarts on the 1st of March, so it's a common thing to keep a car until then, especially with the bad weather. However, a little birdie has told me that it might actually come a fair bit sooner than that. I'm trying to get all of the details, but maybe very beginning of the year, maybe if I'm really lucky, just in time for the end of 2018. But let's see, because even at delivery, there's pre-delivery inspection, there's getting the PPF done. As I'm sure you know, it takes a little bit of time. So let's see when it actually turns up. Please don't get too excited for me or I'll end up getting carried away. And I need to just sit back, relax a little bit, because patience is the name of the game when it comes to this. Of course, when I get the car, it's going to be a big year of events. With this and other cars in the garage, you can imagine I've got a lot of logistics to work out in terms of where I'm going to be taking them, what events I'm going to be at with them, what rallies. I'm not necessarily sure that this is the best rally car in the world. It's kind of limited luggage space, very long front end, extremely valuable, maybe not. But let's see what does happen. I'd love to drive it around a racetrack or two. I think it would almost be criminal not to do so, to take it around what is basically my favorite track in Spa. Potentially, if I'm feeling really brave, maybe I'll even drive a lap of the Nürburgring Nordschleife. But let's see at Car Freitag next April, the Easter weekend, when the Nürburgring opens back up for the season. So there we go. You now know my spec. Cerulean blue with navy carbon, the dark stealth wheels, silver calipers, cerulean blue center locks, and basically something that I worked on for a very long time to get all of the options absolutely spot on. So thank you very much to McLaren for allowing me to come in to film with this car, to tell you guys what it's going to be like. Now, I just can't wait for this car to arrive. This feels like the start of the road to Senna. Bring it on. So thank you very much for watching. As always, guys, I appreciate your support. If you're not already a member of the squad with the bell button pressed and the notifications turned on, please do so, and you will see the videos with the Senna first when they go live. So thank you very much. I'll see you guys again very soon. Cheers.